Hello, my darlings. Maria West here. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. This is episode 337, and this is my third installment of my new video series, Conversations with Women on Love, Truth, and Beauty. And I have with me my beautiful sister from South Africa, Rhianne Vanderleen. Hello, Rhianne. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome,
Maria.
welcome. It's so good to see you. It's so good to be here with you. And I wanted you on my show because you have such a profound story, and a profound story that actually led to us meeting, led to us coming together with our beautiful soul sister mentor, Shakti Malan, and her work. And you are now co-director of Shakti Shiva Academy, taking up her torch. And so let's hear from you, sweetheart, just how things are and how things have been.
Yeah, thank you. It's a beautiful invitation. And yeah, I'm in Cape Town, South Africa. And yeah, Maria, when we met online, it was back in 2012.
Yes.
And it was kind of pre-online courses. Not many people were doing online work yet. And Shakti Malan took her totality therapy training online, which is this really powerful, essentially shadow work, sexual shadow work. It's a little more involved than that, but if I was to boil it down, that was what we were exploring in a really small cohort of students, which was such a privilege. And we were, yeah, pretty much a global bunch, dotted
It was beautiful.
all over.
Yeah.
Really powerful work. And yeah, when Shakti died in 2017, she left this incredible body of work, and a couple of us as her students have sort of held the torch, kept the legacy, kept the academy going, refined the courses, and it's been an amazing journey. Quite challenging at times, for sure.
Yes.
But wow, really, really powerful. And for me, what is just remarkable about immersing in this work is that it's my life. I don't have a face for work or for friends or for family. It's one face to walk my path, and that for me has been so liberating. Getting to that place. We were chatting about the matrix and how we're living these lives that aren't the lives we're really here to live. We're living these lives that we got to download because you were a male or a female, or because you're born in this country, speaking that language, in this socioeconomic group, with this religious background. And you'll remember from the work that we did with Shakti, a lot of what we were unpacking was ancestral patterning.
Absolutely.
The beliefs that we've inherited, right?
Yes, yes. Very profound work. And
Yep.
work that most of us will avoid at all costs.
And sometimes for some people, they're not even aware that they're living a life that got designed for them, and that they're not the designer of their own life. They're not living the life that they love. And often, in my experience, kind of at middle age, certainly our generation, as Jung talked about the midlife, something breaks, like existence often pulls a rug out from underneath us. And like in my case, my entire reality, as I had structured it, as I thought reality was, just went like, pah. And that was it was the usual things of the breakdown of a love relationship, coupled with the loss of a job, a retrenchment. And my reality just went like, it exploded, imploded.
Mm.
And I felt like I was plunged into the underworld, literally, like into the unconscious. And it was brutal. And it was so beautiful. That's
It's
the
an interesting
paradox.
polarity of experience.
Totally. And so, yeah, if you had asked me 15 years ago to write a creative writing piece about the best life I could imagine for myself, like no limits, I couldn't have come up with the life I'm living today, right now.
Yeah.
And it's changing all the time. And I
Yes.
think that's the beautiful thing. It's the
Yes.
embracing of change.
Yes. And do you think that the embracing of change really is a result of not just the great inner work and the diving into the deep underworld and the unconscious and making it conscious, but also in that process, the de-armoring of the sort of body temple to, just hold on to the old realities, the old paradigms. Like, how did you experience that? Like, I'm curious, you mentioned the sort of devastation of it and the beauty of it. What Tell us about the devastation and tell us about the beauty, because I think these are the two polarities that people really want to just kind of avoid. We want to have put on our rose-colored glasses. I have rose-colored glasses, so I know every time it gets a little too much, I put those on. I have to walk around for a while in them.
Yeah, I'd say the devastation was just that nothing worked anymore. Like there was no joy for me in anything that I had previously found pleasure in. There was no point in the work that I did. There was no, like everything that was false started dying, but I didn't yet have any ground beneath my feet. I mean, I didn't even know about chakras and kundalini. I came from a corporate background, hadn't heard about stuff like that.
Wow.
And yet something was happening in my body that when I did find, in fact, I read this little piece in a wellness magazine, and it was a tiny ad that Shakti had placed for a women's retreat, and it was called Uncoiling the Snake. And I just knew that was what was happening to me. I just was like,
yes.
And of course, I was just like a walking head at that time in my life. I was so unembodied, disembodied, intellectually. I held intellect very highly as a value. That was my family background, and coming this piece of the embodiment, the like really dropping into the body, it's kind of started happening without a frame of reference, and I just knew that something remarkable was happening, something that I'd longed lifetimes for. And even though I felt like I was going mad on the one hand, and all the safety nets and all the control mechanisms that I had up till about the age of 40 placed in my life, I just let them all go. And I really got to see how safety really is an illusion.
Yes.
So that was a big one. I got to see how the sensation in the body that is what most of us so long for, and that we seek through all our addictions, all our compulsions, all our fantasies, and yet in becoming a somebody in a modern world, it's the very thing that we disconnect from.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that level of pleasure that's available to us in our beautiful breathing bodies, that just started to really sort of land in me through direct experience, through this moment, through this experience, through this beautiful embodied practice that Shakti used to share called Bliss Dance, a real deepening of intimacy with ourselves and with each other. And then through the work that we did, that sexual shadow integration work was a game changer, really, for me in my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you take that retreat with Shakti?
I never made it across to the US. No, I didn't. But I was very blessed to do many, many retreats with her here in South Africa.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bliss Dance, because you have an upcoming, well, actually it's ongoing. It's ongoing and it's online as well, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's beautiful.
We have a monthly online class that we offer. It's a 2-hour embodied practice, and it's a bit weird doing Bliss Dance online, but in these crazy times, we've really discovered and fine-tuned the delivery of an exquisite class where you can really have, firstly, your own experience of really coming home to ourselves. Because I think one of the things on this crazy journey of just unraveling, because I really feel like there is no place to arrive. It's just this constant unraveling and undoing and unwinding. And we really, in the Bliss Dance piece, and in the work that we did together, one of the things that I've been discovering more and more is all the places that I've twisted and turned out of myself.
Yes.
To fit in.
Yes.
To belong, to be safe.
Right.
To be loved.
Aww.
By my family, by my parents, by my lovers, by my community. And that's all of us, right?
Very much so.
And some
There's
of
no
us
denying
have really,
that.
It's the human condition, right? It's the wound. And one of the pieces that I really get out of the Bliss Dance practice, for instance, is that deepening into sensation, dropping out of mind into body, into the heart, and then into the body of sensation exactly as it is, without judgment, without labeling it. And really, from that place, I find that it's very unusual to then abandon, reject, or betray myself from there, from within the body.
Yes.
It's so fascinating because for so many of us who've experienced trauma, we dissociate from our bodies, and yet actually the safest place to be is in our bodies. It's the safest place because from there we're listening, we're in tune, we're intuitive, we're listening from a deep place to what's arising, to what's in the environment. And also there's so much pleasure available to us in our bodies, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Such a beautiful thing. And then there's so much, I know that for myself, one of the big components, and I was a professional dancer, what I discovered in the Bliss Dance was the softening, the unpacking of the trauma that I really took on as a dancer, and going to auditions and that competitive shitstorm. It's a shitstorm. Oh my goodness.
Totally.
I have to do it right. How am I appearing? The appearances that come and go. Just the awkwardness and the pressure of having to show up or perform, like that all just kind of like, I was shocked when it came up. And it was like, I was kind of frozen for a bit. And that dissolving of all of that trauma of performance, of pressure, of you know, having to show up, and, you know, the sort of the trap of that.
Absolutely. You know, one of the most powerful classes I recall was Shakti used to hold classes every Wednesday evening, and she turned up one Wednesday and her father had just passed that afternoon. Most people would have cancelled. Shakti showed up exactly as she was. And her vulnerability and her availability, and that the sharing of herself in the real, responding to the moment exactly as it was such a gateway for everybody present. It was so powerful. And that piece around Bliss Dance that really invites us to move from inside ourselves, and that this moment informs the movement of the body. We're not moving in a particular way, in a formulaic way to
it's not
impress
training.
anybody.
It's not your training.
Absolutely not. No.
It's
So
not
anybody in a body can move. You know, it's beautiful because it's, you know, yoga does require some level of flexibility generally, most types of yoga, but the dance, conscious dance, is a modality that really anybody in a body can move. Which is really exquisite.
I love that. I love that so much. And just remembering Shakti, I remember a conversation I had with her precisely about that. And you know, that was one of the things that I really appreciated about her. In fact, right before she went online, you know, she was doing a bunch of excavations about online, and I had a meeting with her. We had breakfast in San Rafael, California, when she was in the Bay Area and I was in the Bay Area at that time, and we had breakfast, and she came, and I was already there, and she was in tears, just absolutely in tears, freaked out. It was like having these back and forths with a woman who was helping her get things online. And so we were having, because I had been online since 2003, and she was like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I remember just sitting there, and we were just holding each other's hands. And it was very clear. This is exactly what she needed to do. This is exactly the work that needed to happen, you know, particularly as we were approaching, you know, the sort of 2012 end of times kind of thing, that new age craziness that people were wound up and a little kooky, crazy, you know, and so to witness her just go and do it, and to trust in, you know, this sort of up leveling of utilizing technology. And she had, you know, really quite, I thought, really brilliant support. I don't recall her name anymore, but it was just so profound to witness her. You know, she was always so good in being her little girl self, and allowing those very innocent parts to lead the way. I will never forget that about her.
Yeah, I feel that peace and that innocence, which is really, in a way, being fresh with each moment, present with each moment, without the template that we overlay on it. That is the innocence that Shakti brought to us, and to her teaching. And one of the things I really, really loved was how vulnerable she was always. You know, how her life was never sorted or perfect. It was messy, and she made some poor choices.
Life is messy.
And she shared them, you know, and she shared her heartbreak and her heartache and her grief and her shame and her illness so profoundly with so many of us. And it's really easy when somebody passes to kind of entomb and encapsulate them in some kind of perfection and
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah.
And it just isn't the case, you know.
No.
Shakti was super messy, superhuman.
Yes. And she would call out stuff. She called me out. And I had a lot of shame around what the relationship that I was involved with at that time. And she just, of all my women friends, and I'm doing this on camera, I can't believe it, but it really needs to happen. She just called me out on my shit, and she just said, you know what? You're full of shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's no love from that man. And you need to like watch yourself. Watch yourself. And I was just like, I didn't even know what to say. But I held that. And because I trusted her. And ironically, my choice, her choice. I mean, it's amazing how we were on this similar pathway of really witnessing each other and holding each other to the highest. And I think a lot of it has a lot to do with the transparency, the vulnerability, the humanness of our divinity when we're in these physical bodies. And that transmission alone of the truth and the rawness. So I really just so appreciate her for that. I appreciate the community of women and men that she has gathered, which you are just such a huge part of. Tell us what's happening with the Academy and the offerings that are available.
Yeah, well, it's quite exciting because we've taken a little bit of time out to really focus on developing 3 different certification tracks. So the one is the Totality Tantra, the Totality Therapy Training, with the focus is on sexual shadow work integration. And that is the one way that you can work with us. And then Shakti wrote a book, beautiful book. It was way ahead of its time. Sexual Awakening for Women, a very powerful journey through the chakras and through awakening to the force of our sexuality as a creative force. So that's a certification track we have for women wanting to facilitate this work. And I really have that piece, you know, when we get as women, that we're not victims of patriarchy.
Yes.
That we are the ones who have the power to change the status quo.
Yes.
That we are the ones that actually are upholding the status quo unconsciously.
Yes.
That we've aligned ourselves with the power dynamics within a patriarchal system.
Yes. Yes.
And we're keeping each other small.
Yes. And it's a system that we co-created.
Exactly.
I think that is so important, you know, because all the feminists are like, you know, this man-hating train. If we hate men, we hate the animus part of ourselves, the inner masculine part of ourselves. And that is not the road to integration and embodiment and awakening.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. And I'm just always so reminded of Timothy Leary interviewed Charles Manson, and he said to him, "Why did you do it, Charlie?" And Charles Manson said, "Because the women have all the power." And I've always found that so powerful.
Yes. Yes.
Because why is it that so many of us aren't willing to step into our power, to take responsibility for the world that we are creating?
Yes, absolutely. 1000% agree. Yeah. And that was really, I mean, Shakti was so profoundly, really just boom, illuminating that dance of Shakti Shiva. That, you know, we can't deny the other part of ourselves, that darkness with our light. We can't deny that. And we can't shove it under the rug or pretend that, no, I didn't do it. No.
Yeah, it's way too easy to say patriarchy equals men. It's just like, it's not the truth.
It's not the
and
truth.
If truth is important, then
yes,
got to undo that one.
Yeah. And of course, with her background, you know, she had tremendous anthropological background. So, you know, she uncovered so much of the sort of occulted truths about the matriarchy and about the blood ritual, you know, predomination in many of these, you know, in prehistory. So I was shocked, you know, but at the same time, it lit up a lot of truth within me, which, you know, it's like a deeper understanding and a deeper self-responsibility as woman.
I love that, like taking responsibility.
Yes.
You know, it's like 100% responsibility and fuck all control. And when we really, really get that,
yes,
I feel like that's when we start to create a world that we all really, really, really want to live in.
Yes.
All of us, males, females, everybody.
Yes.
Because when one of the gifts for me of doing this work is when you have a cohort of individuals who get together and they're willing to get honest with themselves.
Yes.
Is that we discover that we're all longing for pretty much the same things. To be loved, to love, to have pleasure, to be safe, to create a beautiful life, to laugh, to feel it all, to not have to pretend to be something else in this moment when we're actually this, to not have to do that violence to ourselves,
yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. That the self-violence, the self-murder in denying those parts, those the crunchy, gooey, messy, stinky, all of that, you know, and because it doesn't work to try to cover it up with makeup or perfume or, you know, fancy whatever. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's a big part of our human experience. And if we keep pushing it away, you know, we just can't go to the depths. And if we don't go to the depths, then we can't reach the heights. It's like, it's not rocket science.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one of the pieces that I think one of the really valuable threads that runs through all of our work, or all our coursework at the Academy, is this concept of polarities and working with polarities and recognizing that our egos are structured around polarities.
Yes.
And after all, we do live in duality.
Yes.
And yet there's so much energy trapped in polarities when we're bouncing between now this and now that.
Yes. Yes.
This or that. And as we start to unite the opposites, something
isn't that amazing?
Wonderful happens.
Yeah. And that internal war, the back and forth, you know, I have found that to be, in my experience, a call really back to extricate ourselves from this man-made body of law that's all bullshit and get back into our alignment with the Hermetic natural law principles, cosmic law, where, you know, as the Taoists would say, everything eventually turns into its opposite. And in the Hermeticum, everything is and isn't at the same time. So to be able to relax in the fluidity of that, and I really believe that is really at kind of the foundation, the energetic foundation of the Shakti Shiva Academy, Shakti's work, the totality therapy of being able to relax in that back and forth and to not identify with any of it in a way that just freezes one in whatever. and whether it's pain, whether it's pleasure, to be able to just really just be in that flow. And the flow is essentially part of the feminine, the energy of the feminine, where she changes.
Yeah. And to be really clear, that flow isn't always what we want.
Yes.
Like the real flow is all of it.
Yes.
And to learn to navigate that and surrender to it, as like, for me, that comes back to the taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's in your arising, if it's in front of you, then it's yours, and it's there for your greatest evolution.
Yes.
It's only there to teach, it's the wisdom of existence, inviting you to more, to be more, to let go of more, and that's a beautiful practice. For me, it's been a very powerful practice in my life to take that level of responsibility. And I want to point back to something, and just presence something that you referred to, because I like to think of them as the gold and the silver thread that run through the courses that we offer. And that silver thread is the learning to increase our capacity to simply be with sensation in the moment as it arises, to keep the breath moving, to open and expand, not to contract, not to freeze, not to dissociate, or any of the other strategies that we habitually use. And so that's something that it's like a muscle. You practice and you incrementally grow that capacity, and something remarkable happens when we're able to be with the moment exactly as it is. And then the golden thread is that piece that you referred to about not developing the witness, not identifying with the story, not identifying with everything that's happening to you. So, and that's really useful, particularly when we want to dive deeply into the shadow, into sexual fantasy, into undoing sexual shame that every human being is wounded by. Yeah.
That's a beautiful reminder. And a huge for myself takeaway, those parts where I was like, oh, really? and to have a little bit of a sense of humor about it, because that sexual shame is just so, it's so concretized and so awful for so many people, where a lot of times we just want to die.
We want to die, and yet we get to see that our desire is holy, and that if we follow our desire honestly, that it leads to gnosis.
Yes.
It's our desire that leads to the knowledge.
Yes.
And where are people having these awkward conversations around sexual fantasy, around sexual desire, around threesomes and affairs and bestiality, orgies, public sex, wild sex, all sorts of things that mostly people call them perversions, and we get so caught in shame around.
Yes.
And there's just such an opportunity for us to move through. But this is the piece that I've found so, like, it's a truth. You have to move through it. There's no other way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
There is no other way other than through. Yes, of course, you can put it in a box and bury it, but that's a stuck place. The only way through is the way through. So we may as well get on with it and go through, because we're just going to come back again and again to learn the lessons that we need to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. let's get back to the offerings of the Academy. So we've got totality therapy and
Sexual awakening for women.
yes.
And then the third offering is Bliss Dance. And this is a brand new course that we're offering. It was, as we've said, a practice created originally by Shakti, but she left very little written theory about it. And she really only held regular classes, and then she did one 10-day retreat in South Africa, which a very small handful of students attended. And so very beautiful, passionate dancer, DJ, Dakini, Kali Satyagraha Vit, also based in South Africa, has originated with the greatest care a world-class curriculum. And we are delighted to be offering this starting in May.
Beautiful.
So this course starts on the 10th of May, and I would love for you to offer your viewers a free complimentary class to one of our monthly
Okay. And I'm going to have her, I'm going to have her
classes.
on as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Carly's the one to speak to about Bliss Dance. You know, it's her modality. She just oozes it. So yeah.
Beautiful.
So we'll give you a link, and you can just share that with your people.
I will, I'll share it on all, we'll have all the information in the show notes below, beloveds. So I'm looking at our time, and so what final offerings as we close our time together? I know we could actually talk a lot more.
We
but,
could.
you know,
I'd love to have a conversation about alchemy with you one day, but it's
yes,
not for today.
it's a
I know
whole
that's
other
something we both love a lot. Yeah. What would I like to complete with? Well, I would love to invite all your Americans to come on over to South Africa sometime. An open invitation to come and travel and visit our tantric community in Cape Town. There's some incredible practitioners living and working here. Some of them are easy to find, some of them are a little less easy to find. But I love when people reach out and say, hey, I feel called to come. I want to swim with the dolphins. I want to work with Rahasya. I want to do body de-armoring. I'm interested in Tantra yoga. And creating an experience for people to really come. There's something about Africa and about that really brings the polarities. You know, there are just so many contrasts.
Yes.
There are so many polarities.
Yes.
And also we have a lot of freedom here.
Yes.
There are not nearly as many checks and balances as there are in your part of the world. And that's the tantric way, right? So that's one thing I'd love, is to just invite people to get in touch and to head on south.
It's beautiful country, rough. It's like the polarities of just the landscape, and you know, I've been a number of times, and it is a beautiful, magnificent place. Mother Nature is she is on.
The whole of nature is orgasmic, and just waiting for us to join in. And something about the ocean and the mountains and the land here, like the energy of the land, it's strong. It's really, there have been places it's really strong. You really feel it.
Yeah.
Moving through the body from up the earth through your feet and up, and that's quite a delicious thing. So yeah, that's my invitation, and I think that's really all. I think just these bodies of ours, this opportunity, this human experience that we're having, all of it, the full range of it,
Yes.
from the
Yes.
deepest grief to the deepest joy, like the invitation to feel it all, and
Yeah. Yeah.
to share with each other, to really connect and to realize that we're not as separate as it appears,
Yes.
and that we sometimes feel.
Yes.
That's
Thank you,
it.
my love, for your time, your
Yeah.
energy, your presence. And I actually wanted to share a quote, and I found this on your Facebook page. And it brought me to tears, because it is from our beloved sister. Bliss is what happens when we fully embrace both our shadow and our light, and we come to rest as love. And
Yeah.
deep love, Rhianne. Thank you so much. And that's it for today, beloveds. And all the information for Rhianne is going to be down below in the show notes. And big love. And until next time, here is to our love, truth, and beauty. Mwah! Bye-bye for now.